First of all, I believed their story that they had been abused and that they had killed out of fear and had not planned the killings.
The second trial, those abuse claims were largely omitted, and that trial ended in a conviction of first-degree murder. Many members of the Menendez family were present at yesterday's press conference with the district attorney and are in support of the decision to resentence the brothers, all except one. Milton Anderson, the 90-year-old brother of Cady Menendez, strongly opposes the brothers' release and questions their claims of abuse. He is even now claiming that the new evidence, that letter, is a fake. Anderson's attorney has filed an amicus brief with the court claiming the letter was not actually written by Erik months before the shootings. That attorney, Cady, joins us now. Kathy, we'll get to that letter in just a second, but I just got to ask you what your client's reaction was to that news conference exactly 24 hours ago.
Well, of course, he's disappointed to hear what Mr. Gascón intends to do. I think what's even perhaps more tragic is that Mr. Gascón would not tell him what his decision was. And so Mr. Anderson, of course, had to learn on live TV to find out what Mr. Gascón's decision was in the case. And that really was quite offensive. It is offensive to treat murder victims' families that way.
Yeah, you just filed this amicus brief with the court saying that Mr. Gascón has ignored and repeatedly disregarded the rights of the 90-year-old brother of Cady Menendez. You say he didn't notify Anderson of his decision. You learned about it at the press conference.
Absolutely. And that's not how the law is supposed to work, right? The law provides that victims are entitled to respect and that they're entitled to know what's going on and be kept apprised of different developments. And it appears as though Mr. Gascón will do that when it's victims who agree with him, but when it's victims who have a differing opinion, that he does not do that. And to those victims, he ignores their rights and really disregards them. And that's quite unfortunate. So Mr. Anderson he's not happy to hear that Mr. Gascón intends to or has recommended a resentencing of 50 years to life. He thinks that the original sentence was fair and that that should remain.
And your client does not believe the brothers' claims of abuse, of sexual abuse.
Absolutely, that's correct. And I would take issue with the statement that you made that at the second trial that a lot of the evidence was omitted. That's actually not accurate when you look at the Court of Appeal opinion. A lot of evidence regarding abuse and molestation was admitted. There were several witnesses who testified about that. And the jury appeared to not believe them or didn't think that that made a difference in the decision.
You know as well as I do that all the evidence of abuse that was admitted in the first trial was not all admitted in the second trial. It was much less that was admitted in the second trial. And the jurors in the second trial were given an option of first-degree murder or acquittal. They were not given a manslaughter option, which they were in the first trial. So we do know there are witnesses who testified about potential abuse who did not testify in the second trial. It was not exactly the same evidence that was presented in both trials. But I want to ask you about this letter and why you think it's fake.
Well, first of all, I don't know that the letter is fake in terms of did Erik write it? That may be accurate. The question is, when was it written? Was it written before the murders or was it written after the murders in an attempt to continue the narrative that they were abused? And I would say that Mr. Anderson, who was aware of what was going on during the trial, believes that that claim of molestation was really one that was concocted by Erik's attorney, and that witnesses came in falsely to testify about that. And there was one witness who did come in and testify who said that the brothers asked her to give false testimony and say that Jose had raped her, which was not accurate, but she came in and told the jury that the brothers had asked her to lie about it.
Yeah.
So it really had to do with the credibility of the letter.
He also, Milton, your client also believes that the brothers killed their parents for money. And there was, in fact, testimony at the trial that Jose had told his sons that he was going to cut them out of his will. He was killed, murdered by his sons before he could cut them out of his will. But the sons didn't know that, did they?
Well, they believed apparently that they were going to be losing millions in an inheritance, and that was the motive for the murder. And according to the evidence that
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.